Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone, my respected lecturer and all of my fellow students. Before I begin my speech, please allow me
Yeah,
to
boy.
introduce myself. My name is Kenny Edana Putra. My name is 1925-2215. I am from class 19, 1C13. I am student from the Bina Sarana Informatika University in System Information major. For this English final project, I have been asked to show my opinion about a topic. The topic I chosen is smoking in the campus area. Now, I want you to picture two scenarios. The first one is you're having an important exam, you walk past the main gate, and you're forced to walk through a heavy cloud of cigarette smokes. You arrive at the exam with half coughing, with unpleasant smoke clinging to your clothes. Second scenario is you have trying to have lunch with your friends at campus park. You are enjoying fresh air, but then someone in the next bench light up cigarettes. Suddenly, your pleasant lunch is ruined by secondhand smoke. These are the hypothetical situations, they are daily realities for many of us. To put it directly and clearly, I strongly and unequivocally believe that our campus must become a 100% comprehensive smoke-free zone. This is not a matter of personal preference, it is a matter of public health, environmental responsibility, and our identity as an academic institution. The most fundamental reason for this stance is a public health. We all know that the danger of the first-hand smoking, but the debate on campus is about the impact on everyone else. Science itself, the World Health Organization, and countless medical bodies states there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Contains over 7,000 chemicals, 100 of which are toxic. The least 70 are known to cause cancer. Think about our community. We have students and staff with asthma, allergics, or other respiratory conditions. For them, walking past a cloud of smoke is not a minor inconvenience. It is directly hazard that can trigger severe medical reactions. Furthermore, we must also consider the risk of third-hand smoke. These are the toxic residues from tobacco smoke that cling to surface like benches, table, walls, even clouds of smoke long after the cigarette is extinguished. These particles are then released into the air. A university is, by definition, a place dedicated to learning and personal development. How can we promote peak academic performance if our very learning environment, like our classroom or library or parks, is compromising our physical health? Now, I understand there is a common counter argument. Maybe some people ask, what about the right to smokers? Or they propose a compromise in the form of designated smoking area. While this maybe seems like fair situations, I want to argue that there is a flaw and ineffective one. First, smoke doesn't respect boundaries. A painted line on the pavement cannot contain toxic gases. Smoke drifts. A designated area just 10 meters from a building entrance or footpath is almost meaningless when the wind blows. The smoke still contaminates our walkways and enter our buildings. Second, these are notoriously difficult to enforce. We often see people smoking just outside the designated lines, and it creates a constant burden for our campus security. Most importantly, the right to smoke ends when another person's right to breathe clean air begins. In a shared public space like a university, the health and well-being of the entire community must always take precedence over an individual's desire to smoke. In conclusions, making our campus 100% smoke-free is not about punishing smokers. It is not about discriminations. It is about protecting the health of everyone and redefining our shared standard as an academic community. Smokers who need help should be supported with cessation program, and our university clinic can play a vital role in that. But the act of smoking itself has no place in an environment dedicated to learning and well-being. So, what can we do as a student? We can be the agent of this change. We can start a public awareness campaign. We can submit a formal evidence-based proposal to our university rectorates. We can ask our student executive body to make this a priority. Let us work together to make our campus a shining example of a healthy, clean, and productive environment. Let's create a campus where the only thing that fills the air is the spirit of learning, innovation, and community. Let's clear the air for good. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever the time is right now when you're watching this. My name is Kenny Edena Putra. Today, I'll be presenting about understanding the simple presence, a guide to pattern, functions, and the example. Let's start our presentation. The slides introduce me again. Once again, my name is Kenny Edena Putra. My student ID is 19252215 and my class is 1913. Right now, without further ado, let's begin our presentation. This is what we will gonna cover today. We will start by defining what is a simple presence, the main function itself, the sentence patterns, the key rule about adding s or es, and the summary itself. Then, we must understanding the subject first. The rule in the present sample depends on the subject, which is divided by two. First one is singular and the second one is plural. For the first person in singular, we are using I. The second person we using you, and the third person we use he or she or it. Then the plural, the first person we use we, the second person we use you, and the third person we use they. Then we're gonna discuss about the simple present. What is the simple present itself? Simple present is the most basic verb in English. It almost used everywhere, maybe in our daily activities. If you doesn't know it yet, maybe without you knowing about the verb, the tense itself, you always use it. Because simple present is always used to talk about the things that are facts, a statement that always true. Second one is habits that happens repeatedly. Third one is schedules, a thing that fix in a schedule. For example, like train schedules or bus. Then what we're gonna discuss about is the main function of the simple present itself. First one is to express habits or routines. For example, I drink a glass of water every morning. Second, to state facts and general truths. For example, the sun rises in the east. Of course, it's true because if the sun rises in the west, it's gonna be so weird. Maybe it's the end of the world. The third one is to talk about fixed schedules. Like I mentioned before, for example, the train to Bogor station leave at 7 a.m. The fourth one, maybe I added itself to give instruction or directions. For example, first you mix the flour and sugar. Once again, like I tell you all before, it always used every day and everywhere. Then there are two types of sentence. Before we are looking at the patterns, we must understand that there are two basic sentence types. The first one is verbal sentence, and the second one is nominal sentence. The verbal sentence always use action verbs. For example, run, study, work, and eat. The main focus here is on and actions. The next one is nominal sentence. Do not use action verb on verbal nominal sentence. Always use to be, which is divided by three, am or is or are to describe something. For example, happy, busy, or student. The main focus here is on a condition or descriptions. Then we're gonna discuss about more things in verbal sentence. There are four sentence patterns: the positive, negative, interrogative, and word that using WH in the beginning. For the positive, the pattern is subject plus verb 1, adding S or ES behind verb plus object or complement. I have a note here for you guys. Always add S or ES to the verb if the subject is he or she or it, which is third person singular. For example, I work in an office, you work in an office. You can see here, I don't use S or ES behind the word because I, you, we, and they is not a third person singular. It's different when we using we or she or it. I look at the presentation. I use S behind the word because he or she or it is a third person singular. Then we have negative sentence. The pattern is subject plus do or does plus not plus verb 1 plus object or complement. For example is I don't work in an office, same as before. I don't use S or ES behind the word because I is not a third person singular. It's different to the he or she or it. I put the example is doesn't works in an office. He doesn't works in an office. You get it right? Then for the interrogative, we have do or does plus subject plus verb 1 plus object or complement. I have an example here. Do you or we or they work here? Does he or she or it work here? Then for the WH question, the pattern is a word that starts with WH plus do or does plus subject plus verb 1. For example, where do you work? When do she study? What do they eat? That already for a pattern for verbal sentence. Then we're gonna discuss about nominal sentence. For the positive is subject plus to be or am or is or are plus noun or adjective or adverb. You can see here, for every nominal sentence, we always use to be. For example here, I am a student. You or we or they are busy. He or she or it is smart. For first person, always use a. For second person, always use are. And for the third person, always use is. Then for the negative sentence, it's subject plus to be plus not plus noun or adjective or adverb. The example is I am a student. You are busy. He isn't smart. Then for the interrogative, the pattern is to be plus subject plus noun or adjective or adverb. The example is am I a student? Are you busy? Is he smart? Then for WH question, the pattern is WH word plus to be plus subject. Where is the class? Who are they? Why is he smart? That's all for the sentence pattern. Next, we're gonna discuss about the key rule about simple present, which is adding S or ES. This slide is very important. It reveals the spelling rules for adding S or ES. Always remember, these rules only apply to he or she and it in positive verbal sentence. The first one, formless verb, you can just add S. For example, work into works, live into lives, and eat into eats. And second, the four verbs ending in O, CH, SH, SS, X, Z, and ES. For example, either go into goes, watch into watches, wash into washes, glass into glasses, fix into fixes, and buzz into buzzes. The third one is for verbs ending in a vowel plus Y. You can add S. For example, play into plays, stay into says, and enjoy into enjoys. Then, for verbs ending a consonant plus Y. Change Y to I and add ES. For example, study into studies, cry into cries, and cry into cries. Or maybe fry into fries. Yeah, I mentioned that because I love French fries. Then we have example sentence in context. I give you all 3 examples from a 3 definition: habits, facts, and schedule. For habits, I have feedings coffee every morning. They don't play games on weekdays. And do you visit your grandparents every month? For the facts, I have the earth revolves around the sun. An octopus has 3 hearts. And cats don't like water. To be honest, I am a bit confused before adding cats don't like water because maybe it's a bit taboo, because I have seen cats that like water. Then for the schedules is the supermarket opens at 9 a.m. The meeting doesn't start before 1 p.m. and thus the bus arrives at 5 p.m. Yeah, this is the example. I think you all already understand about the simple present patterns and how to build sentence. Then the key concept: stative versus dynamic verbs. This is maybe an advanced concept, but it's always very useful. Why do we rarely say I am knowing? It's because there are 2 types of verbs. Dynamic verbs are actions like run, walk, in. We can use this with ing in the end of the verbs. But static verbs are condition or states like know, love, need, understand, and believe. You can see this action. We feel it. This verb almost always use the simple present. So we say I understand the lesson, not I am understanding the lessons. Then to add more detail, I already add adverbs of frequency. We often use this. This word tells us how often something happens. I give you all 8 examples here. It is always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, hardly ever, never, and frequently. For example, I always brush my teeth before bed. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. They go before the main verb, but they go after the verb to be. He is never late for class. You can see the never is behind the he is. You get it right? Then other time expressions. Besides always or sometimes, we use other time expression to show a habit or routine. For example, we use every, like every day, or every week, or every Monday. We use on for plural days, like on weekends, on Tuesday, on weekdays. Then we use prepositional phrases like in the morning, at night, and 7 a.m. Then we already reached the end of my presentation, which is the summary. I give you all 3 key points that we can learn here. The first one is function. Always use it for habits, facts, and schedules. For the verbal patterns, we use verb 1. Always remember the S or yes rule for he or she or it. Use do or does for negative and interrogative sentence. For the nominal pattern, always use am, is, or as the main verb. Then, thank you so much for all of your attention. I hope you all understand about my presentation, what we discussed before. Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Kenny Edena Putra. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.